Well, that didn't last long, didn't it? In fact, it barely lasted a few games, after all. Today, we are heading over to the beautiful, lovely San Francisco Bay Area to talk about a guy who is making a very good home for himself in this area of the world. Obviously, San Francisco is up here. I visited San Francisco last year in February. It was a great time. Had an amazing vacation. But we are going over to San Jose instead, and talking about a guy that has been the newest shiny toy on the San Jose Sharks. Kiefer Sherwood, ladies and gentlemen, recent San Jose acquisition, and potential trade chip one more time. Here's the scoop. So Kiefer Sherwood is 30 years old, Columbus, Ohio-born guy, 6 feet, 194, right-handed winger, signed till the end of this season, making $1.5 million a year. Here's the thing with Kiefer Sherwood. He was a sub-$1 million player for the majority of his NHL career, up until 2023-2024, where he finally broke out onto the Nashville Predators as a full-time NHLer. He had 27 points and 10 goals in 68 games, and had a goal in 6 games in the playoffs against the Vancouver Canucks. You see, Sherwood was an absolute wrecking ball for that Predators team, and when he became a free agent, he had signed a $1.5 million AAV 2-year deal with that same Canucks team that he had played against. Nashville Predators fans spoke out on social media saying, hey, keep an eye out on that Kiefer Sherwood. He's a lightning rod in a bottle, he's got a blistering shot, and he hits players like crazy. That's exactly what the Vancouver Canucks saw out of Sherwood last year, as he had scored 40 points in 78 games played, all while setting the NHL's single-season record for hits in a season. The year after, the season that he is in right now, Sherwood got off to a super hot start, scoring at a 60-goal pace in the first few weeks of the year, eventually fizzled off, but still ended things off in Vancouver with 17 goals in 44 total games. Never mind the fact that he barely got any assists, but this was one of the only triggermen in Vancouver that was consistently finding results. Consistently? Okay, maybe that's not the right way to describe it. Kind of consistently inconsistently, if you wanted to say that, because there would be bunches where Sherwood would score like a hat trick and then another multi-goal game, but then he'd go 2 or 3 weeks without a goal. Either way, it was a running meme on this YouTube channel that Sherwood was on pace for about 60 goals on the year, and then a week later that pace was down to 50, and then it was down to 40, and then 30, and now he's on pace for 27 goals on the season in 72 games played. The Vancouver Canucks could not agree to a contract with Sherwood. Rumor had it that he would be interested in maybe a $4.5 million AAV extension, and at 30 years old, obviously you can see why that'd be the case. If he wants that dollar amount because he's a wrecking ball who can score some goals, obviously all the power to him. If he were to be a UFA, he probably would get a lot more than the 1.5 he had signed for with Vancouver a few off-seasons ago. But this is why Vancouver traded Kiefer Sherwood over to the San Jose Sharks for 2 second-round picks and a prospect, because Sherwood just was a trade chip. But now, he's played 2 games in San Jose, he's gotten 0 points, he's a -1, 4 penalty minutes there for Kiefer Sherwood, 5 shots on goal in the game against Calgary 2 nights ago, and all of a sudden, the San Jose Sharks are actually not doing as hot as they were earlier on in the year. Don't look now, but this Sharks team, at least when it comes to the losses, they have started to pile up on him a little bit. The San Jose Sharks have been losing a few games here and there. This is Macklin Celebrini's game log. Obviously, they lost against Calgary. They also lost against the Colorado Avalanche. And then even before the break, it's been a pretty bad losing streak here for this Sharks team. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that the losing is Kiefer Sherwood's fault, but with the fact that Sherwood is a player on this team who needs a contract for next season, and with the fact that San Jose is still kind of trying to claw their way into a wildcard race, it makes this report from Shang Peng all the more interesting. Take a look at this. According to Shang Peng, Report: the Sharks are willing to flip Kiefer Sherwood? Let's go out there and read this article. It'll be linked in the description. The San Jose Sharks are open to the possibility of flipping Sherwood if they can't get him signed, Pierre LeBrun wrote about in The Athletic on Friday. It's more than likely that he is moved if the Sharks cannot extend him over the next week. The Sharks acquired the pending UFA Sherwood from the Vancouver Canucks for a pair of second-round picks. This was a surprise at the time. The first time that the Sharks had added an impact player for the playoff push before the trade deadline since 2019. Sherwood, however, had an upper body injury at the time of the deal and didn't get healthy until right before the early February Olympic break. Consequently, Sherwood has only played 2 games with the Sharks, coinciding with a downturn in the team's fortunes as well. San Jose has lost their 5 straight, falling 5 points behind the last wildcard in the West. So it's decision time for the Sharks with 30-year-old winger Sherwood. The price is reportedly about $30 million for an extension. LeBrun suggested that the Sharks had some sticker shock with that price tag. Also, Sherwood at $1.5 million right now, and his playoff style of hockey, would be very in demand on the market. LeBrun did note, however, that Sherwood wants to sign with San Jose. It's conceivable for Mike Grier to get his seconds back, or maybe even a late first-rounder. It's shaping up to be a pivotal week for the Sharks organization. They've got a back-to-back this weekend, 2 of their 3 games before March the 6th trade deadline, which could cement them as buyers or sellers. And now, there appears to be a clock on Sherwood's time in TL2. So, well-written piece here. I'm not going to dispute that. But, as the article implies here, hello and goodbye, Kiefer Sherwood. That obviously would not be ideal from a team-building point of view. But I also will say here, if the San Jose Sharks are able to get Kiefer Sherwood and trade him for a first-round pick, could you imagine the level of salt that Vancouver Canucks fans will feel about that? Quick reminder here, Sherwood went over to San Jose in the first place for 2 seconds, and a prospect here, Cole Clayton. Clayton isn't really all too important. He was a body for Abbotsford. They needed the help. He's just an extra throw in there, and the necessary name to make the roster space work itself out. But Sherwood for 2 seconds and then slipping that back into the trade market only to get a first for Sherwood, that would be absolute wizardry by GM Mike Grier of the San Jose Sharks, and I do question whether or not Canucks fans will find a way to live that down. I know a lot of Canucks fans were saying, hey, you gotta go out there and trade Sherwood, you gotta get a first, that's possible, this guy was on pace for 60 goals, and he hits like a maniac, why couldn't you go out there and get any first-round picks? But apparently it was the agent who had to step in and say, yeah, no, you can't get a first. Sorry. Lower the price. Just trade him already. And then the Canucks were like, okay, we'll trade him for 2 seconds. And that's the deal that went down. Who knows? Could San Jose get a first for this guy? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the latest on Kiefer Sherwood? How the Sharks are interested or potentially willing to flip him once more for draft capital in return, especially following their drop in the NHL standings. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.